The story begins not on a battlefield, but on a quiet ranch under the blazing Arizona sun. The land stretches endlessly, barren yet beautiful. Horses graze lazily near wooden fences. It's peaceful, almost unnaturally so, until you notice the scars in the man who owns it. John Rambo, now older, slower, and lonelier, moves through his ranch like a ghost of a forgotten war. His hands are rough, his eyes tired, and his silence heavy. He is not the same soldier who once tore through jungles and fought entire armies. Time has dulled his muscles, but not his memories. He lives with Maria, a woman who manages his home, and her granddaughter, Gabrielle, a bright, young girl who has become the only light in his dark world. To her, he's not a war hero. He's family, a father figure who taught her to ride horses, to be strong, to be careful. But beneath that calm, Rambo hides a battlefield of his own making. Beneath the ranch lies a network of tunnels, dark, endless corridors he dug himself over years, as if preparing for an invisible siege. These tunnels are more than survival structures. They're symbols of his trauma, a place where his nightmares can breathe without hurting anyone else. The Wounded Peace. The film opens with Rambo helping the local sheriff search for lost hikers in a storm. The rain pours down in sheets, lightning slicing across the sky. Rambo moves with instinct, rope tied to his waist, voice calm and focused. He finds one of the missing people, dragging them to safety as the floodwaters rise. But he can't save them all. This early sequence, often overlooked, captures everything about who Rambo has become. A man still trying to save people, but cursed to fail. He returns home soaked, exhausted, and haunted, retreating to his tunnels as thunder echoes above. In the following days, Gabrielle prepares to leave for college. She's full of hope, talking about dreams and possibilities. Rambo listens quietly, his eyes distant. For her, life is beginning. For him, it feels like it's already over. But she asks him about her father, the man who abandoned her years ago and fled to Mexico. Against Rambo's warning, she insists on finding him. She believes he deserves forgiveness, but Rambo knows better. He's seen too many men like that. His voice breaks as he tells her, he's not the man you think he is. He's gone. But Gabrielle is young, and youth always believes in redemption. Without telling him, she leaves the next morning, crossing the border to find her father.
After discovering his niece Gabriella's lifeless body, John Rambo is transformed from a weary old warrior into a storm of vengeance. His world has once again been ripped apart, and the faint hope he once clung to, that he could live in peace, is extinguished. As he drives home to Arizona, every mile of road feels like a funeral march. His face is expressionless, but his eyes burn with rage. The ghost of every battle, every fallen comrade, every innocent he failed to save, they all ride with him in that truck. Rambo doesn't say a word, but his silence screams louder than any dialogue could. Once back at his family ranch, he buries Gabriella in the same quiet earth where he once buried his father. The burial scene is haunting, the desert wind sweeping over the lonely grave, the sun setting behind the hills, and Rambo's trembling hands holding onto the soil as tears finally break through his hardened shell. But when the sun sets, Rambo's grief turns to fury. He walks back into the old barn, a place that has now become his war room. The soldier in him awakens once again. The preparation. War comes home. This is where Last Blood shifts into classic Rambo territory. The old soldier starts turning his tranquil ranch into a fortress of death. He sharpens his knives, reloads ammunition, and opens an arsenal of weapons hidden beneath the floorboards. The montage of preparation, set to Brian Tyler's powerful score, is both mesmerizing and horrifying. He digs tunnels, places traps, sets explosives, and builds homemade weapons that only a man like Rambo could design. He knows they'll come for him, and that's exactly what he wants. In a way, Rambo is preparing for his own funeral as much as the cartel's arrival. Every trap, every mechanism, every sharpened stake feels like an extension of his psyche, his rage materialized in steel and fire. The cartel arrives. When Hugo Martinez, the cartel leader, learns that Rambo has killed many of his men, he sends an army to Arizona. Dozens of trucks filled with heavily armed killers cross the border thinking they're hunting an old man. They don't realize they're walking straight into a death labyrinth. As they enter the ranch, the traps begin to spring. Arrows, explosives, collapsing tunnels, and blades cutting through the darkness. One by one, the cartel soldiers fall in gruesome and creative ways, echoing the brutality of Rambo's earlier wars. The cinematography turns darker, the shadows heavier. It's not a battle, it's a massacre engineered by one man who has mastered death. Rambo moves like a ghost through his tunnels, attacking from every direction. He doesn't just kill, he dismantles. This isn't about survival anymore, it's retribution. The final confrontation. Eventually, only Hugo remains. Wounded, furious, and terrified, he stumbles into the barn where Rambo awaits him. The two men finally face each other, the embodiment of evil and vengeance locked in silence. Rambo doesn't speak much, but his eyes say it all. You took everything from me. In one of the most shocking sequences of the entire franchise, Rambo shoots Hugo with arrows that pin him to a wall, immobilizing him. Then, with chilling precision, Rambo walks up, pulls out a knife, and carves out Hugo's heart, literally showing it to him as he dies. It's grotesque, symbolic, and deeply tragic. The final act of vengeance ends not in triumph, but in emptiness. Aftermath, the man who could not find peace. When the chaos subsides, Rambo is left standing among the wreckage. His body is battered, bleeding, but alive. He sits on his porch watching the sunset, the same way he did at the beginning of the movie. His voiceover reflects on the cost of his life, how war never truly ended for him. And I've lived in a world of death. I've tried to find peace, but peace is just a dream, and if they want war, I'll give them war. As the camera pulls back, we see Rambo riding off on horseback into the fading light, an image that mirrors the ending of classic westerns and symbolizes the eternal wanderer forever haunted by violence. Themes and symbolism. Rambo: Last Blood is more than just an action film. It's a meditation on trauma, revenge, and the futility of violence. The movie's violence is raw and personal, showing Rambo as both hero and monster. The tunnels beneath his ranch symbolize the labyrinth of his mind, dark, twisting, and filled with traps. Each kill he makes is like him reliving the wars he never left behind. His home, meant to represent safety, becomes a battlefield, proving that Rambo's curse is that war will always find him no matter where he hides. Reception and impact. Upon release in 2019, Rambo: Last Blood received mixed to negative reviews from critics, with many calling it overly violent or politically controversial. However, fans of the franchise defended it as a fitting farewell to the legendary character. Despite criticism, the film grossed over $91 million worldwide on a $50 million budget, proving that Rambo still had box office power decades after his debut. Sylvester Stallone's performance was praised for its emotional weight, a broken warrior trying one last time to make sense of a world that has long forgotten him. The ending sparked debates. Was Rambo dead or alive after the final ride? Stallone later clarified that Rambo survived, leaving the door open for another potential return. Legacy of Last Blood. Rambo: Last Blood is a brutal, emotionally heavy epilogue to one of cinema's most enduring action heroes. It doesn't offer redemption, only reckoning. It reminds us that men like Rambo never truly die. They fade into myth, legends born of pain, courage, and sacrifice. The final image, Rambo riding into the horizon, is not just an ending. It's a salute to every soldier who came home but never really left the battlefield.